Welcome back, everybody, to HGC China. We just witnessed time flow go down to the 1. And we're not done yet for the day. We have 3 more best of 2s coming up right at you. And Tetra told us already what the next series is going to be. And it's going to be none other than CE, who are kind of starting to struggle like they did in last phase, duking it out against what should be on paper easy prey, the Sunny Lions.
Indeed, they are. Like you said, CE appearing to hit a couple little roadblocks here.
Yeah.
A little bit unfortunate for them. So they're going to be have to really turn it round if they want to try and keep one of those top spots. Because right now, SPT, even with their 1-1s, have managed to overtake them due to the fact that where SPT gets 1-1s, CE gets 2-0'd.
Yeah, and it's very unusual for CE to drop this many games in a row, because having a setback every now and then is definitely something that could happen to any team. I mean, we saw Fnatic go down against Zealots yesterday. We saw SPT struggle a little bit earlier in the league. But losing 2 matches in a row, sub or not, is very unusual for a team of CE's caliber.
Indeed, but we still have a lot of confidence from the Chinese casters, except for Genshuo, like you said, ex-support player in HGC China, giving a little bit of faith towards the Lions Raw. Now, Sunny Lions have been able to take some okay games. They were able to 2-0 both RPG and BTG in recent weeks, and go 1-1 with the team we just saw dominate time flow. They went 1-1 versus the 1. That's too many 1s in a sentence.
All right, in the meantime, we're gonna redeem you, Tetra. No more 1s here for now. It is all about Sunny Lion, one of the 2 new teams in the league, next to time flow, of course. And although they weren't really able to show up as strongly as the 1, excuse me, as damn it, you got to me, as time flow. They're still here to stay, I think, and they have some seasoned veterans in their roster from last season from KT in there, namely C and Ustia.
Indeed, and they have shown to be very strong, but we also get wonderful players like Jada being showed off here, which is even more satisfying as Jada actually does play a Jada. You can see a little bit of a highlight here versus Soa from the early weeks. Really nice play, decent positioning, focusing targets.
So nice.
Little bit risky for that 2v1, but the ice block was all he needed to be able to outplay that.
And many of the Prophet had foretold the arrival of Jaina a few weeks ago already, and China heeded the call of one of the best assassin players in the world, and she is finally here. And look at that mouse pad, it is still here as well. Ustia, formerly known as Neptune, still representing and making all the weebs happy. And I'm one of you guys. I'm feeling with you. Are you a weeb, Tetra?
Probably not. I don't actually watch, like, almost any anime at all these days. Don't have the time.
Come on. Once you start watching one, you're gonna watch them all. Just like CE.
That's true.
Once you've seen one game of them, once you've seen them play once, you just can't stop watching them. And this time it seems like they weren't, or like they don't have to use their substitute Mew, as you said.
Exactly. They keep you keep coming back for more CE games, but Mew not returning this time. Mew was replacing a Lufel, by the way, in the game
now
stream.
That makes a lot of sense, because I was going to ask you who he replaced, and if a Lufel is not back in the mix, then that really, really could make a crippling impact, because this guy, although his win record doesn't really look too convincing, but this guy on the Genji, probably one of the most convincing and stellar performances we've seen all day. He drove the observer, the camera guy, crazy. He was zooming in multiple times on him just because his plays were so flashy. But yeah, Alufel's back in the mix. CE is with their full roster, and this is bad news. Or serious news, at least, for Sunny Lion.
It's definitely going to be a rough scenario for them, and also worth talking about. We already mentioned his Genji. We think it's fantastic. His Greymane, not that bad either. And, excuse me, probably it's going to be a hell of a toss-up to say who is the better Cassia between him and Shen Zhao.
Yeah, and although we don't really know who the main shot caller is in-game for CE, I definitely think Alufel is probably one of the more vocal players in there, simply because he's such a mechanically good player, and he's been with the team ever since the very start. So when one of your main pillars is no longer with you, no matter how good the sub can be, or how good the sub is actually, it definitely will have an impact on your performance. As you can see, this is very unusual. 2 losses in a row for CE against the 1 in SPT.
Good teams to take losses against, to be fair, but also a 1-1 versus BTG is still not that helpful, whereas Sunny Lion, even Sunny Lion 2-0 at BTG.
Yeah, definitely true. And if you've watched the Eastern Clashes and BlizzCon and GCWC last year, you'll probably remember BTG at Beyond the Game as the top 3 or the third seed, excuse me, from China. And things have changed though, Tetra, this season, haven't they?
The table has very much shifted with both Soa and the One overtaking BTG here. Also worth mentioning, the drafting issues that kind of plagued CE last season returned a little bit in the off-stream games, including solo tank Johanna's and double support comps.
Right, gotcha. And, you know, we've talked about the solo tank Johanna multiple times. Other regions are struggling with that setup as well. But double support is a little bit different. It has always been more successful in China than it has in any other region. But now, even in the motherland of double support, because it was once originated by Eastar a few months ago, you know, even here in China, it doesn't really live up to the hype anymore.
Yeah, it's very rare a double support comp will get the value a team wants out of it.
All right, let's see if one of the team is going to bank their hopes on double support, or if both teams are going to play a more modern style. Both Shimadas out of the equation. That is definitely very much new meta.
Yeah, that is the current stylings. Even though once again we are on live patch, but no Maiev, obviously she's not even in the PTR yet.
Very true. And the Holy Trinity, it seems, in China for the first 3 picks has been assembled once more. Greymane, Uther, and ETC. But once those heroes are basically picked, banned, ignored, whatever, things are going to get much more interesting. And look at Uther's participation ratio here, by the way. 1 ban and 7 picks. He is hot in China right now.
Uther is, in fact, the new hotness. The light is spreading like wildfire here in HGC China. However, Rhaegar still managing to hold on to relative popularity coming in here for CE.
Definitely true. The Sonya could be very lethal, and we have to mention one more role swap here for CE for those of you who watched them last year at the international tournaments. Zuyu, formerly the main ranged assassin, one of the best ones in the world, actually, is no longer playing that role. He's now the main bruiser / off tank for CE. So he's probably going to show us what he's got on the Sonya, most likely.
Indeed, we will be excited to see this here. Dahaka banned out. Global's very strong on this map, so not too bad to ban that out. And Tyrael picked up straight away for Sunny Lion, denying that from CE.
And that could be the double protection combo for Sunny Lion. Sanctification by Tyrael, new Tyrael, by the way. This is the live patch with all of its glory, and Uther's Divine Shield to really ensure that Jaina is not going to fall to the aggression of a potential Sonya and Greymane Assault. So, CE. They still need a more solid frontline tank for themselves. Tyrael would be their usual go-to, so curious with that ban. We're going to see a CE Muradin and the Falstad Double Dwarf. Yeah, Double Dwarf being deployed, and the earlier ban of Dahaka now makes sure that the only true global left goes to CE. Of course, ETC could go for that stage dive if they really wanted to keep him in check and, you know, have somebody to counter the Shrine pressure, but it's still going to be a mosh pit most likely.
It is quite likely, but there are a couple interrupts, so we will have to see it. And stage dive has become very popular, even in situations where there are...
Even in China, too, yeah.
Yeah, especially in China, I would argue it's very, very effective.
Very true. And one thing that we have to highlight, it's probably going to be Jaina on the Jaina once more. And he showed up big time last week when they demolished their opponents left, right, and center. But this guy, by the way, 365, a legend from China, if you will. Not necessarily because of good international results, but simply because how impactful and how long he's been around in China in the league.
Exactly. He's been around a bit, jumping from team to team, but he really seems to have found a place here.
Yeah.
Now he is in CE. Potentially a little too keen on that Rhaegar. I'd like to see him a little bit more flexible with his supports more. Then again, Rhaegar is very high up in priority, but I wouldn't mind them maybe putting some more priority on Uther.
Here we go. Maybe a little bit of Uther prioritization coming in the next games for 365. We're going to find out what these two teams have in store for us. It's CE versus the Sunny Lions, and we're diving into Dragonshire. On the left-hand side, in the blue trunks, it is Sunny Lion, a team to be respected, not to be underestimated. We have Pao on the Uther, Jaina plays Jaina, who else? Phoebe on the Cassius, C plays ETC, and Eustace on the Teriel.
Whereas on the right-hand side, it is going to be currently our second seed, CE, with a Lufel on Greymane, Wind on Muradin, KTY on Falstad, 365 on Rhaegar, and Zuyu is playing the Sonya.
And now I'm excited to see a Lufel back in action. You heard it, guys. He was not able to play on the weekend, last week, off stream. And as such, CE's performance didn't look all too convincing. They actually dropped their solid first place to SBT, but they need those points right now. They cannot afford to show any more signs of weaknesses against a team like Sunny Lion, where they, on paper, shouldn't even break a sweat when it comes to beating them. On paper, though.
Yeah, especially with the Eastern Clash creeping closer and closer. These teams want to secure themselves in the upper echelons. And CE, this win would do wonders for them to do that.
Yeah. Can you believe it, man, that Western clashes are around the corner, Eastern clashes, of course, as well. Then we've got Open Division starting today in Europe. It's a good time to be alive if you're a Heroes of the Storm esports fan. And I can't wait to see all those tournaments to go down, finally.
Completely agree. It is a beautiful time to be a Heroes of the Storm fan, as we see Zuyu moving into the bot lane. But yeah, like you said, Open Division starting tonight as well, with the clashes around the corner too. There's so much excitement coming.
Definitely true. And Tetra, can you remind me who was casting HGC Open Division Europe again?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, Kendrick, but I believe it's some guy called Tetra casting with Grubby.
Oh, there we go. Well, if that ain't a highlight, then I don't know what is. So, starting today at 6 o'clock European time, Central European time, you're going to be able to see Open Division. In the meantime, we're going to see a Lufel under a lot of pressure. Is he going to make it out? Body blocks. Oh. No.
365 not able to get behind Greymane to maybe block the pursuers, and he does go down.
Alright, so Wind now under a lot of pressure here. Uses the Dwarf Tusk to get out to safety, though. And although Lufel fell a couple of moments earlier, they still managed to capture back the shrine in the bottom, and the mercenary camp here as well, the Knights camp, doing an astounding, surprising amount of damage there onto the tower line as well.
KTY moves to the top lane, gonna duel Eustace. Eustace will easily win this 1v1 at the start, and he doesn't even need to win it, he only needs to hold it, and that's exactly what he does, as the Dragon Knight is picked up by Jaina.
The Dragon Knight is picked up. However, in the first couple of minutes of the game, the Dragon Knight remains relatively harmless if you actually take care of him. KTY currently the only member of C who even is willing to defend against it, because more pressure is being applied into the top lane here, but 3 members by Sunny Lion already here to hold the position.
Yeah, with Pao, not really helping with the deep pushing effort, but he is going to zone out anyone who would have maybe attempted some kind of cheeky wraparound potential, as Jaina, using the rest of that Dragon Knight duration, 20 seconds, is going to have to pull back. It's the issue of putting someone like Jaina in your Dragon Knight. You don't get time value. You can get health value, but you can't get time value out of the Dragon Knight, due to the fact that if Jaina gets popped out of the Dragon Knight, she is made out of paper mache and has no escape potential, so can just immediately get detonated.
You really don't want to risk anything. You basically hit the nail on the head there. If you're a squishy ranged backliner who doesn't really have any forms of escape early on, you definitely do not want to be caught out of position. And with the Dragon Knight, not really getting that much value, C is still looking mighty good here. Here comes a mercenary camp invade.
Zuyu with a good whirlwind, keeping himself alive here, dropping low. Here comes that to help out. Full fight here. The camp has already been taken though, so this was really just a fight of passion here for CE. They had no reason to stay there.
Basically just a quick little staring contest who would give in earlier, and it looks like Sunny Lion, they retreat for now, but you could really see the value of the new talent Justice for All by the new Teriel as well. In those choke points where every allied hero nearby is going to hit by it, it's so powerful. It's such an important additional protective tool.
Yeah, and we saw that, with, like you said, where Sunny Lion came out significantly better in terms of health by the end of that fight. So very interesting to see. whether this continues. And potentially as a reaction to this, look at Sonya. Full sustain here, going for the war paint, which is usual. But then we have that whirlwind cooldown reduction and the ferocious healing.
Long time no see ferocious healing. I mean, it used to be one of the more common talents, but then Poison Spear came, although it was buffed twice in a row, it's still so damn good. But I'm really excited to see how this sustained build by Sonya is going to work out here. Now, focus change onto the Rhaegar, gets cleansed though. Beautifully done by 365, breaking no sweat to keep Alufal alive for now.
Bursting Light not getting too much value there, as Phoebe D unfortunately doesn't hit any heroes. But he's still here with his team, trying to push into this fort. The Merc camp starting to drop low. Power saving some mana. Looks like he's going to heal up the Mercs here. And as such, CE will be able to clear them up.
Yeah, stun goes down on C, but he's too tanky and too mobile. He's not going to get caught anytime soon. Now, Zuyu has been doing pretty well against Yusia in that solo lane, although the new Tyrael is more dangerous than before. Speaking of Jaina, one clean kill by KTY. Even turned back. Cool guys don't look at kills. Really, really well done.
Potentially risky. We have seen that backfire a fair amount. I mean, if people watch the... I can't remember the name of the guy who is currently doing HGC player and caster highlights, which is really cool. Good on that guy. But the nice Norok bait, where, oh, you thought you had him killed. Bad mistake.
Definitely true. All right, so the Dragon Knight now becoming a little bit more threatening, but still, I would say pre-level 13, pre-level 16, the Dragon Knight is actually a Dragon Squire, because he's not really that dangerous, and as a result, games of Dragonshire can actually last very long, and it's a very safe map to go for if you have heroes like Nazeebo or Kel'Thas in your mix, for example, if you just want to reach the late game.
See a little bit of damage being dropped onto the Cassia here. Ancestral is very nice onto a Lufal. 10 is just about to be hit for Sunny Lion though, so CE need to be very careful about how long they want to keep this fight going.
Here we go, good cleanses once again, but a massive 3 versus 3 skirmish going down here in the bottom. The Dragon Knight though, hitting on that middle fort, and the top fort also being pressured heavily by Zhu. CE is really pumping up their siege potential.
Wind fleeing from his potential demise there, as heroics are being slowly knocked in by Sunny Lion. We see some hesitation though. Both Cassia and ETC currently holding. There's a Zuyu getting focused down. Whirlwind on a cooldown. He needs...
Goes back in.
He drops the spear to get himself back in, to get that healing, but 4v1, he was gonna have issues.
Yeah, that was actually an astounding amount of self-heal there, thanks to the build he chose with the Ferocious Healing and the level 4. Really cool to see, and actually against Jaina, the Hurricane makes so much sense because... Oh, never mind, there comes a Mighty Gust!
The Gust pushing everyone into a corner, but beautiful sank, and oh, not by Muradin. Muradin drops the Avatar Ball Lightning, doesn't get the value. The camp is stolen, and KTY has to let him go. Nice boomerang value, though.
Yeah, nice boomerang value, and KTY actually played this aggressively. Hold on, C is not done just yet. Wind is here to make another stand.
Oh! Falstad doesn't make it over the wall, gets punished for his hubris, thinking that they could maybe make a pincer maneuver, and Falstad gets isolated and picked off.
And I was about to commend KTY for his perfect cooldown awareness, because he witnessed how ETC's Power Slide had just been used in the choke point, so he got in very deeply. But then again, he wanted a little bit too much. He drew off more than he could bite. He bit off more than he could chew, actually. And ETC's cooldowns were back and ready, and the Birdman ended up falling after all.
Trying to work out the logistics in my head of chewing off more than you can bite. That would be...
that would be scary.
That would involve multiple bites, I assume.
If you start chewing before you bite something, I don't want to know what your body looks like. That would be very scary.
Indeed, it would. CE begin to move in.
Gust.
For revenge, and lovely Gust pushing everyone into an area very risky. But Sank is not yet available. Wind gets Ancestral. Beautifully done. Avatar available in 7 seconds. Wind having to dwarf us out and doesn't get the Avatar off. Camp is stolen. And CE with the aggressive raid get absolutely destroyed for it.
And the Sunny Lions were pouncing on CE here with a beautiful stage dive. Sanctification wasn't even used. I'm not sure if it wasn't ready or if Yuste was like, no, don't even have to use it. But I'm not sure if CE can go for these fights continuously. Look at the Jada value there as well in those choke points. It's so easy for her to land all of that damage because everybody is is grouped up in that choke point here. The Ancestor was good, but then the Water Elemental and the Stage Dive, so much damage, and the double protection. Tetra, we talked about it. The Sanctification, it was actually interrupted there, going on a 10-second cooldown, and the Divine Shield. It's so hard for CE to really break through that.
Muradin, he was less than 2 seconds away from his avatar upon his death there, just trying to sustain. But with the amount of damage that Cassia especially, along with a little bit of Jada assistance, can offer, it's really hard for Muradin.
It really is. And don't forget that Muradin actually has defensive tools available already. They actually had the 13 advantage over their opponents with Healing Static and other 13 talents. And even the increased healing by Sonya just wasn't enough to really keep themselves alive.
Win takes a trip behind the keep, being forced to remount up and return to his team here. Not actually fully healed up yet, but still dropping damage onto that Dragon Knight.
And don't forget about the Dragon Knight's damage either. Oftentimes he's being laughed and smiled at because his flames actually just tickling and not really doing much more. But in the late game, never mind. We see an engage on Pao. Doesn't really end up falling, though.
Risky move by Sonya, especially seeing as Rhaegar was just kicked away. He finally arrives back to his team. They don't overextend here. Here comes Wind, though. They now have everyone. Falsa coming in from the side as Muradin gets focused. There's the Avatar. There's the Gust into the corner. Ancestral keeping Wind alive. The Sanctification forcing the disengage. Zuyu's already killed off the Elemental. KTY barrel rolls, trying to go through the Blizzard. Gets taken out, though. It's a 4v3 in favor of Sunny Lion. They're trying to focus Greymane, the damage dealer here, to remove that potential for kills, and they have done so. This is now a full retreat coming in for CE. No, they're trying to fight it.
Zuyu staying alive for a long period of time, but they're running out of stuns right now. Sonya's a beast, but even she can turn it around. The stage dive there for good measure, and the shields provided by Tyrael too strong. And Tetra, my heart is crying and bleeding when Alliance kills the Alliance, but Jaina just seemed to be so much stronger in outplaying the Falset there. KTY definitely, once again, too cheeky, too aggressive.
She's a Red Bull anyway, it doesn't matter. As we see CE trying to defend their base, they've already lost the keep, but they will drive back Sunny Lion, preventing any additional damage.
All right. I mean, I think we have to mention KTY because we praised him as one of the most consistent players in the past. Normally not really showing up big time, but also always providing his team with much needed support when it was needed. However, this game, I think his gusts are ambitious. Overly ambitious, maybe. They look good in the game, but they don't really achieve anything because they're oftentimes aimed too early. Sometimes the follow-up isn't there as a result, so I think he needs to be a little bit more careful and keep himself alive, most importantly, because if he dies early like he did in the last team fight, there's just not going to be enough damage anymore left to deal with that protection from Sunny Lion.
Yeah, you need to... Falstad is actually not a terrible dueling hero, but... Jaina, if you're not able to dodge her abilities, which she's been very good at, especially with Icy Veins, just cooldown reduction, so if you miss the first couple, there's more coming, and lots of them. You're gonna have issues. So as such, Falstad might need to reevaluate the positioning there. So we'll see if KTY can do so.
And I think cooldown reduction / cooldown resets is the name of the game here for Sunny Lion. The Benediction, the Icy Veins. Uther is gonna have an additional stun if needed against Sonya to prevent her from spinning to winning. And Jaina, as you said, Icy Veins, so huge. When Jaina is not really pressured, she can unload a huge burst damage chain. So good.
Even ETC technically has cooldown reduction in the form of the aggressive shredding, which combos absolutely insanely with that prog rock. Add Ontario shields to that, it's no wonder they are sustaining through this.
And look at KTY's 16 talent as well. He went for the movement speed after the barrel roll, and that's exactly what he needed in my opinion, because he just needs to make sure that he doesn't die early in those team fights like he did up to this point. And here comes a big stage dive into the backline.
365 getting focused. He was able to lightning shield himself, but it's not even close to enough as he is destroyed. KTY might have to port back here, but it looks like he is going to try and hover around the area. This might be to either try and steal the steal another objective.
Tetra, I think
what he is doing there.
What the observer was trying to tell us here, I think, is that KTY tried to interrupt the stage dive with a Mighty Gust, but wasn't successful in doing so, and that's why the Mighty Gust is now on cooldown.
That would make sense. Very interesting to see. Well pointed out, Kendrick, as we do see Wind having to leap the wall and get himself to freedom, as both shrines will be channeled by Sunny Lion.
And we mentioned the Dragon Squire earlier. This is definitely starting to become a real threat potentially, and that's why CE is fighting hard over it despite being one man down. Most importantly, their support 365.
He's on the way, though. Jada is also arriving from top. This was a 4v4, at least for a while here. Zuyu not getting stunned by HGC here, as a Luful gets destroyed by that Jada burst. Zuyu also getting from
back alive.
Zuyu able to turn it round. An immediate divine shield. Good interrupt by Muradin onto C on the Dragon Knight, as Zuyu is running out of health, but Wind has good pressure onto Jada, but a beautiful heal by Uther, and Wind will get eventually taken out. Maybe not. He will be able to leave, but the Dragon Knight.
Oh, that was so huge.
Oh, nicely done.
Wind with an MVP play there, popping every single cooldown Muradin has available. The Avatar, the Stone Skin, he saved it all for last to buy those precious seconds, so that in the bottom lane they could stall it out a little bit more. In the meantime, Wind is not giving in an inch. He's still fighting two enemy heroes at the same time. Yusi and Jaina, though, too much pressure. They end up getting the Dragon Knight, which is actually starting to hit really hard right now, but precious seconds, precious moments were saved. But now if Wind ends up dying...
He's definitely going to die, is the thing. The Dragon Knight, though, actually just wasted some time. It actually did think about trying to move up there to chase down Muradin as well. But now Muradin, his death is staggered. But the fact is, he burned a big amount of Dragon Knight duration because it had to stay in mid because it was unsupported. Yeah,
definitely true. It took Sunnyline a lot of time to regroup and assemble once more, but I think they're still going to have enough momentum going here to maybe make that... Oh, wait a minute. They're going for the core already. Okay.
Gust is already used, trying to focus. What? There's the cursed bullet, but immediate speed boost coming out of Tyrael as Sonya goes for a ride.
KTY used that gust so early and only hit one enemy team member, and already as a result, the CE core is under pressure.
And pressure is the understatement here as it gets wrecked. And that is game number 1 going over to Sunny Lion.
Well, that looked like, you know, another day in the office for Sunny Lion. An upcoming team beating one of the big champions, or the big candidates to become a champion in China once more, CE. They do not look like the team we saw yesterday and last week, and even before that. I don't know what's going on with them, Tetra, but especially KTY, he seemed to have a really off day.
Really did, and this is concerning for the future of CE when it comes to Eastern Clash, or if we're looking even further ahead, if they begin to continue down this kind of slope, mid-season brawl could even be in question for them.
Look at Gentru's cheeky smile here, by the way, because he was the only expert, the only Chinese commentator who predicted a draw, and already...
He might be wrong still.
He could be wrong. If Sunny Lion doesn't let go of their prey, then he could definitely be wrong, but chances for him to succeed are looking really good, because I'm not sure if Sunny Lion can do it again. Although, I don't know, man, Tetra. CE is a team that has grown so dear to me, and see them suffer like this really pains my heart. But I don't want to take anything away from Sunny Lion. I think they had a spectacular showing. Jaina on the Jaina, man. I don't think I've ever seen a player embodying the hero that he plays so much. This is crazy.
In order to play the Jaina, I must
become the Jaina.
If they make it to Eastern Clash, I would love to see him turn up in cosplay. That would be the best.
Somebody make it happen. Well, Sunny Lion can make it happen themselves if they keep playing like that, because that was strong showing. We saw a couple of classic China moments here in that game as well, where games were basically put to the test depending on how strong you can fight over mercenaries. Like, I don't think we've seen that many mercenary camp skirmishes ending in pure bloodshed like in this one.
And that is potentially an issue for CE there. A little bit of over-aggression onto those objectives.
Yeah, and the statistics, I never thought I would say this, but the Sunny Lions, man, they showed up big time. 13-1. That speaks a clear language. And Pao on that Uther, man. I was going to say, like, we finally need to start showing some MVP love to the support players, because what we saw today alone, or what we've seen today, look at that fancy outfit, by the way. Woo.
Very fancy. Loving the Vestal jacket.
Loving it.
Very nice. And then we have the sweater. The classic.
Dude, Pao was dressed like a gentleman, taking things in style away from CE. But I gotta say that support play up to this point has been stellar. Uther in general seems to be the one hero that makes or breaks a team comp. And up to this point, we can really see why he's so important in China.
Indeed. So, an interesting point of the fact CE, there we go, I was about to say, finally reacting and being like, okay, yeah, done with this, and are going to their home ground. Also, you guys will notice